So here is the recipe. We have the dry ingredients being mixed together. So that's my flour, my salt, and my baking powder. You just want to get it all incorporated and mixed up nicely. You want to add in your cold cubed butter, and that's right out of the refrigerator. And I would usually use a pastry blender, but I couldn't find mine. So I'm using a fork to kind of get the butter worked in a little bit at a time. So now you want to go in with your hands. It's really important to make sure that it's all mixed up nicely. And you want to end up with some coarse pieces in there, much smaller than this. So I would say maybe about pea size. Let me show you here. So a little bit bigger than pea sized is how it's going to look. You want to keep incorporating that until it's a little bit smaller, maybe half the size. So now I'm adding in my liquid ingredients, which is some ice cold water. Very, very important for it to be ice cold water. You don't want it to start melting the butter that's in there. And then you add in your scrambled eggs, or egg for that matter, just one in this recipe. And you mix it up until it's incorporated. Then you have to go in there with your hands because there's going to be some dry spots that you need to just work in with your hands. And that's just the way it is when you're making any kind of dough. You can use a food processor for this, but for me, I don't want to take out a gadget when I know it takes me a couple of minutes. So then you just go in and you start kneading away with your hands, and I would say like 4 to 5 times. You don't really want to overwork it. Just a gentle knead, nothing too serious, nothing too rough. And you're going to get some dry pieces, and you want to just kind of incorporate as much as you can and then form it into a nice ball. So the thing about this recipe is this takes me a couple of minutes, right? The longest part is actually just waiting because you need to refrigerate the dough before you use it. So I would say 1 to 2 hours, one minimum, and there really is no max as long as you cover it nicely with some plastic wrap and then put it into a Ziploc bag, okay? So that's the way it's supposed to look. Do you see? That's it. Done. The dough is literally done. All right, so while the dough is resting, you want to start working on your picadillo. And this is the meat filling for the empanada, beef empanada. And again, so I use this also for Alcapurria and Relleno De Papa. So this is like a standard kind of meat. So you're putting in your adobo, your sazon, your onion, garlic, and you're just cooking the beef until it browns. You wanna strain it. So that's it. It's too much oil in there. It's not gonna taste good. So you put it back in. You add in your tomato sauce. You add in a little bit of Goya Sofrito. I sometimes leave that part out. It depends. My friend made it like that a couple of months ago, and I've been craving it since, so I'll probably be eating like this for a while. But you don't have to add that in if you don't want to. It still tastes delicious without it. So yeah, you just keep cooking the meat, and then you put it on a nice low, and you let it simmer, and then when it's done, this is what it's going to look like, okay? So I try to get it into as small pieces as I can. A lot of people don't like the garlic and onion in the meat. I do. I think it's very important to have fresh flavors instead of just using onion or garlic powder. It's best to always use fresh if you can. So yeah, this is what the meat looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how we roll out the empanada dough. So I have a press, a tortilla press, because I make this by, scratch a lot, especially tortillas. So, and then totones as well. This makes it easy. You can smash 4 of them at the same time. So this is not expensive. This is like $10 to $12 on Amazon. If you're going to make this a lot, really invest in it. So you see how nice and thin it comes out? You can actually see, if you look close enough, the butter nice stretched out into the dough. It's a really delicious dough. So if you want it thinner than that, because I'm not going to lie to you, this isn't going to be as thick as the Goya discs you find in the supermarket. I'm sorry, it's not going to be as thin. You just stretch it out by hand the way I'm doing it. Just stretch the edges out. And this works well baked too. So you can either bake them at 350 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes. Or you can fry them in oil. You want to get your heat up to about 365, fry them for a couple of minutes. So this is how I make mine. I like some cheese and some beef, and then, I try not to overstuff it so they don't break, right? So I use a fork, and I kind of I fold the empanada over, and then I make sure that it's properly sealed with a fork. Make sure that you seal it as best as you can, because if any of that breaks, all of the oil is going to go inside, and it's going to taste gross. So make sure you seal it properly. So at this point, if you're going to fry them, you put them into the hot oil, you fry one side, you flip them, you fry the other, you take it out. But if you're going to bake them, you take like an egg wash. So you take 1 egg with a tablespoon of water, you mix it up, and then you brush it over the top of the empanada, and you put it in the oven and you bake them. So let me show you what the corners look like, okay? Obviously, baking is a healthier option. I like mine fried. I'm not going to lie to you. But I'll do baked if I have to do many, you know, if I'm doing them for a party or something like that, I'd bake them. Okay, so let me show you what they look like when they're done. And trust me, I didn't cut it open. I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. But trust me when I tell you that these are nice and crispy and flaky and completely cooked on the inside. So these are what it looks like when it's fried. So I keep the oil at about 365 because I don't like it burnt or dark brown. And yeah, so if you like the recipe and you try it, please leave me some feedback. Let me know how they turned out, okay? Thanks for watching as always. Bye.